Are you crooked? Alright, get back to you later.
Before you came round, I was ready to blow me down.
So, long time no see, huh? Left you guys with the Valentine's Day video. That was one hell of a video. So I'm back for a short while. I can't make any promises that I'll make very many videos in the next couple months because I'm moving into college in a couple of days. I might actually be moved in once this goes up. So that's exciting and also mildly terrifying. This is a little bit of a scripted waffle video, or scripted rant, vent, whatever, so don't mind the jump cuts. I was really hoping to make more videos this summer and actually like be productive and give you guys content, but I didn't have the energy to do so. I did, however, have the energy to spam the hell out of my Instagram stories and TikTok, so if you're not already following me there, check it out in the link in the description below. Anyway, I just thought it'd be nice to just do a quick sit down video for you guys to let you know what's been happening. First and foremost, you guys probably could already tell, but I moved in the beginning of June, so that was fun. But yeah, as you can see, I spent way too long on these goddamn triangles. They go all the way around my room. It feels nice. It feels like a room. There's a single like rose gold and gray aesthetic here, and also mildly geometric aesthetic. So it's nice. It's nice looking around and everything matches. I haven't had that before, so it's very nice. Also, so, you know, you can see a lot of triangles, but where my bed is right now, there are triangles that go against the wall that you cannot see because my bed was not supposed to be in this corner. It was supposed to be kind of like right where I am right now. But then when a family friend came over to help me paint, he asked me where my bed was going, and then I realized I laid down on the floor. I realized it was gonna run right into the door frame, so that was not gonna be a good idea. And if I turned it 90 degrees, I would only have like 2 feet at the end of the bed. You guys never really saw my room in the apartment that I lived in, but I changed my room around a lot. Like, it stayed the same way for like 2 years, and then after that, every 6 months or so, I would change it up in some way. Like, maybe I moved my bed, maybe I moved my desk, I, you know, move things around as much as possible. Just for like the main reason that like it made me feel better, because it was like, I feel like I have my life together, like my room is clean, it looks new, I'm gonna be this brand new person, and then like that shit like never happened. Like, my mental health could have been falling apart at the seams, but my room looked nice, so it was all good. You know, it was a change that I could control, right? Now on to change that I can't control. School. So I graduated back in May. I have a couple of days until I start college, and it hasn't hit me yet. My life is so completely different than it was a couple months ago, let alone a year ago, and it hasn't hit me yet. I'm gonna have new friends, new classes, new teachers, and a new school, like a new living situation in a couple of days, and it hasn't hit me yet. I'm scared. And that's not the only reason why I'm scared. Like, school isn't for everyone. And I've realized recently that I'm everyone. Like, over the course of high school, especially junior and senior year, like, my grades started steadily and then rapidly declining. Freshman year, I had this shiny report card that was all A's. But it just decided it was gonna go downhill after that. In fact, I got so worked up about getting a C my sophomore year that I just broke down. I didn't know what to do. I felt absolutely horrible because I'm so used to like being like a straight A student. I was a teacher's pet. I was supposed to be a good student, but then COVID hit and everything came crashing down. When we went into quarantine, I didn't do jack shit until the last day of classes, where I stayed up until like 2 a.m. finishing stuff that I needed to turn in so that I can pass 3 of the classes that I needed to graduate. Moving into the beginning of senior year virtually absolutely sucked. They did change our year from being just semesters to cutting it down into quarters. So then we only had to deal with 3 to 4 classes at a time as opposed to 7, which was, you know, good in some aspects. We didn't have as many classes to worry about in case, you know, COVID did come up again, and, you know, if there was an attempt to go back in person and we had to quarantine again, it wasn't gonna feel quite as overwhelming. However, project-based classes where the time you had to do a project was cut in half absolutely sucked. Especially for someone like me who gets so easily overwhelmed. Tasks look way larger than they actually are, so I just couldn't even get myself to start, and that's how I failed my first class ever, photography. Now, all I had to do was take pictures based on prompts, edit them, and then turn them in, right? But I didn't know what to take pictures of. I just couldn't get the motivation to do it, and like I didn't even have nice photos in my camera roll that I could use to cheat and just be like, oh, you know, here's a picture that I took recently, right, for this, specifically for this project, because I know that there were other kids in that class who did that, because like, why wouldn't you? It was so much easier. You cut back your time on that project in half, probably even more than that. Now, I only failed that class with like a 63 to 67%. I don't exactly remember what it was. So if I turned in 1 more missing assignment, I could have passed that class. But I didn't. I couldn't. Eventually, by 3rd quarter, we were all like back in person, and I was so thankful that we were, you know, gonna end senior year on a semi-normal note, right? I was back in person, seeing all these people again. It was so nice. Like, we had our junior and senior proms canceled, so, you know, people were making their own little proms with their friend groups. And we had other like senior-based events that were canceled. Anyway, I work better in an atmosphere with the teachers and the students where we could talk, and it didn't feel as like weird to like speak up and ask a question, and it wasn't like quiet all the time. There was side talk, there was like joking around, and it felt so nice to have this type of normalcy again, because those Zoom classrooms, my god, I wouldn't say a thing. I'd just like sit there, you know, everybody's on mute, because like if several people start talking in Zoom, you're not gonna hear what either of them are saying, you know. But like having this in-person environment, oh my god, so nice. However, I was put into 2 online classes as an in-person student, which made no sense to me. So my 4th hour class was a cooking class, and since it was online, I figured we wouldn't be doing any cooking, which was a bummer because I love cooking. That's kind of the only reason why I, you know, took the class in the first place. So the in-person virtual students were in the library, so I pulled up a seat in the corner, pulled up Zoom, and I was, you know, waiting to be let in. 5 minutes after the bell rings, I'm not let in yet. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So eventually I emailed the teacher, which she was from a different school in the district. So I emailed her and immediately got a response back that said that she was on maternity leave and to contact her sub. I was like, all right. I emailed the sub. 10 more minutes goes by and I don't hear anything back from the sub. I hear 2 other people in the library behind me saying that they weren't getting let into the Zoom. So I asked them if they're in the culinary class, and they're like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So they called the librarian over, and she says that they were having the same problem in the 2nd hour and that they're trying to get in contact with the sub. At this point, I'm like, all right, I don't want to have to deal with this. I'm just gonna drop the course. So I do, and the next day I'm switched into a creative writing class, which my twin was in, so that's how I found out it was the same hour and I could do that. And I just, that was the best decision I made, because that was probably my favorite class that I've ever taken the entirety of my high school career. Like, I love all my theater classes, but this had like that same like familial like chemistry in the class, which was weird, but it was just a nice environment with the students and the teachers. Like we could all like joke around and like have fun. Like it was a fun class. So I'm so glad that I made that decision. My other virtual class was called Fashion Merchandising, which wasn't really something that I was interested in, but I didn't want to have to bother my counselor again with my schedule, because with COVID going on, I wasn't sure if I could be switched around or anything. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep this class. Worst mistake ever. Now, I had this teacher for a previous class. I had taken a sewing class the second semester my freshman year, and so I already had some experience with this teacher. And I knew that this teacher didn't exactly teach. She gave us some basic knowledge about sewing and sewing machines and stuff like that. And then within like 3 weeks, we were on our own. She gave us a couple projects to do, and that was that. She didn't really engage with the class at all. It was just like, work on your own things, right? And I'm not doing anything else. I feel like I should also let you know that she also taught some of the like international cuisine type classes and the child development classes. So she was like spreading herself out in like a variety of different classes, which my theater teacher did do something similar, but at least all of her classes coincided with each other. But like she taught very like surface level knowledge and then let us loose with projects, which for some people might actually work, you know, to just like know what you need to do and be like let loose and like do your own thing, work at your own pace, that sort of thing. But for me, a mentally exhausted senior who already has enough credits to graduate, hell no. In the beginning, I was turning in like the easy like written assignments, like what did we learn in class today, you know, what was new, what information did you not already know, you know, that sort of thing. But once we started getting into the projects is where I stopped turning in things, especially because some of them had to do with like creating outfits out of clothes that we own. And she told us to do this during class time with kids who are in the library, at school, away from their wardrobe, which is at home. I didn't want to have to do these stupid assignments. She was so ignorant enough to assign us while like half of us are in-person students. Like, no, it was just stupid to me. So what did I do instead? I kept my grades up in my other classes. I would join Zoom and I'd sit there and wait until she said that we could leave, and I would, and then I'd work on stuff for my other classes. Like plan for directing and write for creative writing and finish packets for forensics. Now the first two are classes that I wanted to take and I wanted to do well in because I want to be a director when I grow up, and those two classes, I feel like they could be very helpful for me in the future, right? The last one was one that I had to pass to be able to graduate because it was the last science credit that I needed. So, you know, this fashion class that I was struggling with, I could not care less. So my grades slowly slipped in that class as I got A's and B's in the other three. But like, even with using that class as study hall time basically, I still didn't get everything done. Like, I still had missing assignments in forensics, and I didn't get as far on this Kindle publishing project that my teacher had us do in creative writing, like as much as I wanted to. And I didn't get to finish the film in directing, which was something I still kick myself for. There is experience from that class that I can use now, but I felt horrible that I couldn't get this finished. I would also like to point out that this teacher never reached out to ask if I was okay or why I wasn't turning in anything the entire quarter. Like, she would update Infinite Campus every like 2 weeks or so, but she didn't ask me why she was putting in zeros for all of these assignments. So I failed that class with a whopping 13%. Yeah, I'm not proud of that. The only time that I really did schoolwork was in school, like in the school building. So before class, like before school even started, during lunch, after school in the library when that was a thing. Rarely ever did I really do work at home, especially in the later years. It's not like I had like a noisy home environment or younger siblings to take care of, because like it was the opposite. It was 3 teenagers who were in their rooms doing their own things and would only come out for sustenance. I couldn't work at home because I worked in my room, and my room is a place where I relax. It's not a place to work, so I couldn't get myself to do work. Like I just could not get shit done, and when I did, it was usually like, you know, 2 or 3 assignments that would take like 3 times as long as they should have, and then I would just eventually call it quits and fall asleep that night, just thinking about the assignments that are unfinished that are still sitting on my desk. And like that was a constant occurrence throughout like the entirety of both junior and senior year, but especially senior year. And this is why I'm scared to go to college. Not because like I don't know anybody and I have a hard time socializing with people, even with close friends, though that is part of it. It's because I'm scared I'm going to fall behind and fail classes that my parents are helping me pay for when they have 2 other kids who are going to college at the same time who I can confidently say are probably doing better off. Like throughout high school, they both did better than me on average as far as like productivity and consistency goes. My older sister would get all her assignments done that she needed to, and she would always ask for help because she wasn't afraid to. My twin was just as motivated as I was, which is to say not really, but they still push themselves to get shit done. I just couldn't start, so I didn't. And I couldn't get myself to ask my teachers for help because I didn't want it to seem like I'd been lying to them and now I'm coming clean, or that I'm not being as productive as I should be, or that I don't understand exactly what they want me to do because I practically need step-by-step instructions for things. If I don't know what I'm doing, then I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna ask for help because I don't want to embarrass myself. Like I would rather suffer silently than embarrass myself. I also just don't know how to communicate with others, and as you guys know, that was kind of an important skill to have while everybody was in quarantine. I barely talked to anybody over the summer, and those that I did talk to were the ones that I was already talking to because I had no in-person way to talk to them. If I had a class with somebody, I usually never texted them outside of school or outside of like our class and like assignments and shit, because I could see them face to face and talk to them in person. So as you can imagine, I lost contact with a lot of friends. Like I fell away as they stayed connected to each other. Like this friend group that had basically adopted me and my twin into their group when we started school in 8th grade. After junior year, they like, you know, continued talking to each other and just kind of left the 2 of us behind. And like neither of us really reached out in the first place, so we were already kind of outsiders within our own friend group. But by the time senior year came around, I wasn't sure I could really consider them close friends anymore. Hell, I had a support block with 2 of them who had like stayed connected with each other, and I felt like I didn't even know their lives anymore. I was constantly overhearing conversations that they were having and like bonding over experiences that I just couldn't be a part of because I felt like I was no longer a part of their lives anymore, and I just felt like I didn't know them. Like these were my friends and I couldn't talk to them. Like I'd like slide up on their stories to make a comment, or I send them TikToks to let them know that I still think about them, but I'm just not that close to them anymore. Like I want to talk to them, but I just don't know if it's really worth it at this point because we're all going off to college soon, so we'll be busy with like classes and on-campus jobs and making new friends that why would you also try and keep up and stay connected with friends from high school, right? I feel like that's kind of just like a me thing though, because I get overwhelmed with the things that I need to do that I don't ever have time to do things that I want to do. But okay, let's say I visit my friends instead. Well, that requires talking to them and finding a time where we're both available, but the majority of my friends have jobs. I don't. And then even if we find a time, I've moved away. Like, I'm closer to the campus that me and my older sister are going to, but it's a good half-hour out from where my friends live now. Like, my dad doesn't even want to drive the round trip to pick us up and see us. On top of that, we literally recently got our permits, so we don't exactly know how to drive. And even if we did, we don't have money for another car because 3 of us are going to college. That's a whole other issue at this point. I'm done with everything, I swear. I feel like I very consistently have something to rant about, but nobody to go to. Like, I know that I have friends who, if I reached out to them, they would talk to me or at least just let me vent to them. But I don't ever reach out because I don't want to be annoying or a nuisance. I don't want to ask for help. And since I haven't been to therapy in like 3 years, I just spam my private Snapchat story like daily. So I'm sorry to those who are on that story. I just trust you with hearing this information. So that's a privilege of getting close to me. I'm sorry. I just hope that when I get to college, I can awkwardly force myself to talk to people and make new friends. Starting with my roommate. I know having somebody there with me will help me stay sane and stay on top of my shit. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm actually kind of looking forward to. But if I don't have that type of relationship with my roommate, I might go insane. Like, I'm willing to bet that I will probably break down and either fail or drop out. I can almost guarantee that at this point. I need therapy. I think I've waffled enough for now. So, thank you if you stayed this long. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for when I upload next, and don't forget to follow me on all my socials listed down below. And until next time, I don't have an outro, so you're just gonna have to deal with a goodbye. So
Is there something else I can help with?
no.
Okay.
Siri just fucking activated.